Hey guys, Mark here from Rainings.com, and today we're comparing two budget truly wireless headphones, the Anker SoundCore Liberty Air and the SoundPEATS TrueFree. Being truly wireless headphones under $100, they do not have some of the more fancy active features of more premium models like an EQ, step tracking, or apps for more customization options, but they do offer a good value for their price. So which one should you get? Well, in this review, we'll be comparing the design, sound quality, and isolation, which you'll get to hear for yourself later on in the video, as well as the active features and connection options. But as always, let's start with what's in the box. As for what's in the box, there's not much difference in the content for both headphones. For the Ankers, you have a micro USB charging cable, 3 additional tip sizes, the manual, the Liberty Air headphones, and a sturdy charging case. It's the same for the SoundPEATS, so a much shorter micro USB cable, 3 additional tip sizes, the manual, the TrueFree headphones, and as you can see, a lidless charging case. And that's pretty much it. Now let's get the boxes out of the way and compare the design. Design-wise, for the build quality, the SoundPEATS TrueFree have the slight edge over the Anker SoundCore Liberty Air. The Ankers look somewhat similar to the AirPods, but do not have quite the same premium finish and high-end build quality of the Apple design. They're decently well made and should be durable enough to handle a couple of accidental drops without any major issues. They also have an IPX5 rating for water and sweat resistance, which should be a bit better than the SoundPEATS IPX4, although we cannot confirm this since we do not yet have a water and sweat-proof test on our current test bench. Unfortunately, the casing of the Anker's earbuds doesn't feel quite as dense or as durable as that of the SoundPEATS or the similarly designed AirPods. Since they have these long stalks, they're a bit more likely to crack if you accidentally sit or step on them than the SoundPEATS. On the upside, they have a slightly better case that has a lid and that keeps the headphones secure when carrying them around, unlike the SoundPEATS. In this aspect, the TrueFree are not the best. Their case does not have a lid, and although it does have magnets to keep the buds in place, they will easily tumble out if there's a sufficiently strong impact or if the case falls on the floor. On the upside, there is a variant with a much better case that has a lid and even more battery life, but that model is called the Q32, which we cannot confirm is the same as the TrueFree, although the buds do look very similar. Other than that, the buds are surprisingly well designed for their budget price. They feel dense and durable and should be sturdy enough to last you a while. As for comfort, it's about a tie, although most people prefer the fit of the Ankers a bit more. The Liberty Air, unlike the AirPods, have an in-ear fit, so they still cause a bit more fatigue after a couple hours of continuous listening. But on the upside, they come with 3 additional tip options to help you find the right fit, and the buds have a bit more surface area to spread the electronics around, so the part that actually goes into your ear feels a bit smaller than that of the SoundPEATS, making them a bit more comfortable for some. On the other hand, the SoundPEATS are smaller overall and fit tightly within the notch of your ear. They also come with 3 additional tip options to help you find the right fit. And despite the lack of stability fins, they're very stable within the ear, which makes them a decent option for running and working out. The Ankers are also stable enough for sports, but the more compact form factor of the SoundPEATS make them the slightly better choice. Lastly, for the control schemes, both headsets are pretty poor, but the SoundPEATS having physical buttons does make them slightly easier to use since they provide a bit more feedback. The Ankers have a touch-sensitive control scheme that gives you basic functionality, but no volume controls. A double tap on the right earbud plays and pauses your music and also manages calls. A double tap on the left triggers your assistant. If you press and hold the right bud, it skips tracks, and the left, it rewinds. It's a fairly simple and intuitive control scheme that lacks a bit of audio cues and voice prompts, but the biggest drawback will be the absence of volume controls. You would have to pull out your phone or Bluetooth source every time you want to lower the volume, which can be a bit tedious, especially when running and working out. This is about the same for the SoundPEATS, although since they have physical buttons on each earbud, they have a bit more feedback. They also have slightly more audio cues. As for the controls, a single press on either bud would pause, play tracks, and also manage calls. A double press on the right bud skips tracks, and the left rewinds. If you press and hold the right bud, it triggers your assistant. Overall, it's a simple and straightforward control scheme, but again, the lack of volume controls is a little annoying at times. Also, since the actual buttons, you will be pushing the buds against the notch of your ear, which does factor a little bit in their comfort score. Overall, for design, the SoundPEATS are slightly better than the Ankers, although not by much. The Ankers have a sleeker looking build quality and a touch-sensitive control scheme that's easy to get used to, but delivers less feedback than the SoundPEATS. On the upside, they're a bit more comfortable, and their AirPods-inspired design will be worth it for some. As for the SoundPEATS, they're surprisingly well designed for their very budget price, especially for a truly wireless in-ear. They're compact, dense, and fairly easy to use, although like the Ankers, they do not have volume controls, and the physical buttons are good, but cause you to push the earbuds against the notch of your ear, which won't be as comfortable for everyone. And that's pretty much it for the design. Now let's compare the sound quality, isolation, and leakage with Sam.
In terms of sound quality, if you're looking for neutral and accurate sound reproduction, go with the Anker. And if you prefer a more bass-heavy sound profile, then the SoundPEATS may be the better option for you. But before looking at their measurement results, we are going to play a recording we have done with these headphones, so you can get an idea about how their sound compares for yourself. Just keep in mind that this is a relative comparison and not an absolute one. So it is good for seeing which headphone has more bass or treble, for example, but you won't be able to judge their actual sound profile. And if you get one of these headphones and listen to the same track that we've used here, you most likely won't hear the same thing. Here we have the frequency response of the Anker on the left and the SoundPEATS on the right. And as you can see, the SoundPEATS have an extended and powerful bass, which is over our neutral target by more than 5 dB. But since most of the overemphasis is in low bass and not high bass, it makes the bass more thumpy and punchy rather than too boomy, so it won't sound that bad. The mid-range, however, shows a few dBs of recess around 700 Hz, which moves the vocals and lead instruments towards the back of the mix a bit. The treble range also shows a significant dip, around 5 kHz, which reduces the detail and brightness of vocals and shifts the focus towards the bass frequencies. The peak at 10 kHz could make the S&T sounds a bit sharp on these headphones, but depending on the shape and size of your ear canals, you may not notice it too much. The Anker, on the other hand, follows our neutral target very closely and provides just the right amount of bass, mid, and treble, making them very versatile and suitable for both bass-heavy and vocal-centric music. However, if you tend to prefer bass-heavy headphones, you may find the Ankers to be a bit on the bright side, in which case we would recommend the SoundPEATS instead. In terms of frequency response consistency, both of these headphones deliver the same bass and treble with every reseat, but you have to make sure that you are using the tips that are the correct size for your ears. Otherwise, you may experience a noticeable drop in bass. Now, for isolation and leakage, we have also recorded a comparison, which we're going to play now. First up is isolation. As you can see, the isolation performance of these in-ears is quite similar and has the same profile. But the Anker provides a bit more isolation in bass, mid, and treble ranges. In the bass range, both the Anker and the SoundPEATS provide a decent amount of isolation, which is more than what some over-ear headphones with active noise cancelling provide. So they will be able to block a good amount of rumble from bus engines, but may not be isolating enough for something louder like an airplane engine. Their performance in mid and treble ranges is quite good, so they should be able to block out speech and air conditioning noises to your satisfaction. Also, you can always increase the volume of what you're listening to help with masking the outside sound. Now, let's listen to the Leakage recording. In terms of leakage, both of these headphones, like most in-ears, perform great and barely leak. So you don't really need to worry about the leakage of these headphones in most situations, unless you're blasting your music in a very quiet environment like a library. Now let's go back to Mark.
And now for the active features and connection options. For the wireless range, it's a tie for both headphones. They have almost the same performance with 65 feet for the Ankers and 62 feet for the SoundPEATS when the Bluetooth source was obstructed. In direct line of sight, it's also the same. Both headsets do well if you have your phone or Bluetooth source in your pocket and should be good enough for listening to audio with a fixed Bluetooth source like your PC or TV. As for latency, they're also within the same ballpark with slightly better performance for the SoundPEATS, although at 289 milliseconds for the SoundPEATS and 295 for the Ankers, they both won't be the best choice for watching videos or gaming on your phone. They should be fine for listening to music and podcasts, but you may notice some lip sync issues if your phone or the app doesn't somewhat compensate for it. As for the battery life, here the Ankers have the upper hand. They lasted about 4 hours on a single charge in our tests, compared to the SoundPEATS 3.3 hours. They also have a bit more charge in their case for an estimated 20 hours of total battery life, compared to the SoundPEATS 15. However, like we mentioned a little earlier, the SoundPEATS Q32 look almost identical to the TrueFree, but have a much better case and overall battery life, so you might want to check those out, although we haven't reviewed them yet. For app support, unfortunately, both headsets do not have any apps, so you won't be able to customize the sound profile like some of the more premium truly wireless in-ears that we've tested, like the Jabra Elite Active 65T or the Jaybird Run. Lastly, for the connection options, they are both Bluetooth 5 headphones that should get a slightly better performance than what we measured here if you have a Bluetooth 5.0 source. Our test bench only goes up to Bluetooth 4.2 for now, but we are working on an update for Bluetooth 5. Both headsets charge via a micro USB port, but unfortunately, they do not have multi-device pairing or NFC. So in the end, which one should you choose? Well, if you mostly care about sound, then the Ankers will be the better pick. They're also a good option if you've been looking for a budget AirPod lookalike in black that still delivers on performance. They have a decently comfortable in-ear fit, a longer battery life than the SoundPEATS. The Liberty Air's case also protects the buds a bit better than the TrueFrees. On the other hand, the SoundPEATS have a slightly more durable design despite being cheaper. They're also a bit more stable for sports and have physical buttons, which some may prefer. Unfortunately, like the Ankers, they have no volume controls, and the lack of a lid under a case is not ideal, although you can always get the Q32 variant instead, which will deliver a better overall experience, but we haven't tested it yet. And that's pretty much it. You can check out all our measurements on our website, and if you like this video, subscribe to our channel or become a contributor. Thanks for watching. See you next time.